I'm meteorologist Alex Calamia here with another update on our severe weather threat for today. We're expecting strong storms from about noon to 4 o'clock. The biggest risk is going to be damaging wind. We have a high risk of that. We have a medium risk of tornadoes and localized flooding, also a medium risk. So no changes within the last hour. This is a look of the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. You can see the greatest risk shifted east, but I wanted to kind of let you know what the difference is between enhanced and moderate. It doesn't change the fact that they are expecting storms to be severe. The difference is that with an enhanced risk, you have numerous severe storms. A moderate risk, it's more widespread. So we're talking about the spread of severe weather, not the severity of it. So the severity remains the same. We're just expecting it to be a little bit less widespread than what we were anticipating yesterday. And that's because it's relatively cloudy. Not a lot of energy to work with when you have all of this energy being used up to our south. So the thunderstorms in South Georgia are really saving the day. We are looking at a much lower risk because of what is happening there. A tornado watch in South Georgia and for the Florida Panhandle right now. They've had severe weather there overnight, and for the next couple of hours we'll start to see the rain chance increase. We're not severe before noontime, but we'll start to track the opportunity for a few severe storms. 1 p.m. models do give that chance for at the very least some gusty thunderstorms from the western Midlands towards the southern Midlands. Then that shift eastward starts to arrive as we head to 2, 3 o'clock. We're looking a little bit more so towards the eastern Midlands, and we start to clear out by 4, 5 o'clock. There could still be some lingering storms, but if you join me on Facebook, I'll tell you why things aren't as they appear necessarily on the models. One good thing is regardless, we're going to start to clear out. So plenty of ways that you can keep up to date with us, not just on Facebook, but also on our website. We're going to continue the conversation there, and you can follow us on Twitter. Our chief meteorologist Efren, we have Daniel, myself, as well as Danielle, and we'll continue to talk on Facebook and on our website. Stick around there. Okay, so as promised, I want to continue to talk. So let's start again with a look at your radar. We have these hit or miss light showers this morning, and now into the afternoon, we're still expecting some light showers and overcast skies. So as I mentioned, you look up in the sky, you're seeing the wind shear, those clouds zipping by. That means we have a lot of high wind aloft. And so that helps create spin, but if there's nothing to spin, if there's no warm air rising, then you're not going to get severe storms. We're seeing some thunderstorms in the upstate this afternoon. That will continue, but the temperatures there are way too cold for anything severe. All of the severe weather is well off to our south right now. We have had numerous reports of tornadoes, actually 2 of them overnight. We had one out there in, I want to say, southeastern Alabama, and then another one kind of more south central Alabama. This was at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning local time. So that's 5, 6 o'clock our time in Alabama. So this storm system has a history. But what was not anticipated by the Storm Prediction Center was that these storms were going to fire up so far south. When you have storms firing up south, they're using up that energy that would have come northward. That's what I was talking about with Daniel, who's coming in for the noon show, working on his latest forecast now. We were discussing how these storms to the south are using up the energy that would have otherwise supported our storm chance farther north. Right now, nothing severe with this line, but there are definitely some very gusty storms right now on Interstate 75, Valdosta, getting in on some pretty decent storms there, and there's still a tornado watch to our south. Now, does that tornado watch migrate into our area? We are expecting parts of South Carolina to be under that risk. But where? Well, let's take a look at the temperatures. It's 70 degrees right now in Augusta. It's 67 in Columbia. Definitely warm enough. Anything cooler than 60s, you don't get tornadic activity, even in the most ideal situations for severe thunderstorm development. But since we're in the 60s, the temperatures are a check mark. We're kind of there with that, but we have a lot of overcast skies, so that's going to reduce our risk. Regardless, we are expecting wind risk with any storms that pop up because we have so much wind higher up in the atmosphere. Strong winds aloft, that's what we call it. So a 30% chance that within 25 miles of your house, we see damaging wind. That's a pretty decent risk. Tornadic risk, of course, is going to be much lower, but still a 10% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of your house. A 10% chance is 1 in 10. That's not necessarily a huge risk, but for our area, it's considered something that we really need to watch carefully. So the models have been struggling this morning. We use multiple different computer models to generate an idea of how storms will develop. But this is one of those days where your phone doesn't tell you the right thing, and you really need somebody like us to analyze it as meteorologists, because what is happening in the atmosphere isn't exactly what's happening on the computers. This is the radar. This is what's happening right now. I want you to look at all of that thunderstorm activity I was talking about in South Georgia that's using up our energy. Look at how thin and wispy these storms are towards North Georgia. So this is the line that we would be worrying about. But look at the models. It's kind of showing a little bit of a different picture. It already had some of the rain in our area that's not there now. It has these storms to our south stronger than they are when they're not severe at the moment. These would be severe on the model. So one more time, kind of looking back, you see they're not as beefy in real life as they are on the models. So this is real life, this is the models. This also looking much thinner in real life than it is on the models. So that's just something that we need to consider. Regardless, this is our best one. There are multiple models and none of them are anywhere close to as right as this one is. So let's take a look. It's called the HRRR model. The HRRR is another way of calling it. So 2 p.m. you can see those storms do start to bubble up across the area. Damaging wind, the biggest risk with that. We are also expecting the potential for some localized flooding. Hail can't be ruled out because we have cold air aloft, so it doesn't really take a very intense thunderstorm to produce some damaging hail potential when you have so much cold air higher up in the atmosphere, because you imagine the rain just stays suspended in the atmosphere a little bit longer, then it can drop down as a hailstone even though it's mild outside. 4 p.m., this is what we're tracking. 95 eastward, your best chance for severe weather it looks like today, and that is because they are going to have more time to heat up. However, we're still looking at that risk for some storms here. Latest guidance is kind of keeping the storms around a little bit longer than we were anticipating this morning. So 3 to 5 o'clock, still game time for the potential for severe weather, and then it's out of here. By 5 o'clock, I would say really is the latest that we have to worry about these storms. So I wanted to give you your hour by hour, now 68, 40% chance of a shower or thunderstorm. 1 to 3 o'clock is your greatest risk for severe weather as those temperatures pop into the 70s. Then we're expecting the risk to begin to lower after the 5 o'clock hour. We'll likely see some sunshine towards the afternoon and evening, and by then, all of the instability in the atmosphere will be gone, and that's good news because the sunshine and the warm temperatures won't allow more storms to build up. So by the time we get to sunset, things are looking much, much quieter. And actually for the rest of the week, things are looking quiet. We're not expecting any rain after today, so we can all sort of breathe a sigh of relief, but we do have some frost in the forecast for the weekend. Of course, there are just so many ways that you can continue to keep updated with us. You have our app, our website, and you can always follow us on social media. I'm Alex Calamia, WX on Twitter. Our chief meteorologist, Efren Afante, is Efren, WLTX. Daniel_Bonds for Daniel Bonds, and Danielle Miller is WX_Danielle. Again, thanks so much for joining us here on Facebook. I hope I've answered some of your questions, given you a little bit of security about what to expect over the next couple of hours. These storms will move through relatively quickly, so it is not an all-day event, and certainly we have at least another hour or so before things start to heat up a bit, so to speak, when it comes to these storms.